You are now watching Believe. Do you believe?
LG. Now we are on the cusp of the start of training camp for the veterans, obviously, but the rookies reported last week as we sit here. It's Friday, July 22nd. I want to know more from you, from a guy who's gone through it, about the process. The fans and the media see the 2+ hours on the field, but let's use some of our time today to kind of run it down and talk about what happens. The basic nuts and bolts of training camp, because I think a lot of people don't really know what goes on. First off,
right,
where do you guys stay?
Usually we stay at a hotel. Every experience of training camp that I've had, we've stayed at a hotel. Even in New England specifically, you stay in a hotel in Foxborough. When I was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, we left and went to St. Vincent College, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And so, I think that's pretty cool too. So my favorite part in it is being close to the facility, so that you have time to go home in between. If you got 30 minutes or so and a break, go home. Probably get something to eat there rather than at the facility, or go home and see the kids or something if you're not too far away.
In New England, walk us through what a typical day looked like for you. What time are you rolling out of bed? What time are you getting to the facility? What's the process like?
So usually your first meeting will be about 7:30. You usually want to get there. If you're a guy that lifts weights and have that high energy early in the morning, maybe you get there at 6:30, 6 o'clock, get your lift in before everyone gets in. If you're not, maybe you get there at 6:30 or 6:45, and eat you some of that fresh breakfast that they got out there, because they always cooking the breakfast fresh for you. So you get you a good breakfast in. Maybe you need a little time to wind down or whatever. That's usually what I do. I go get me some breakfast. I probably go look at my iPad for a little bit to see what we got going on today. And by the time I do those couple of things, the meeting's up at 7:30. It's time to go.
So do you prefer, I know guys have talked about this before, do you prefer a morning practice or an afternoon practice now that we don't have two-a-days anymore? Are you a morning guy? Are you an afternoon guy?
I prefer the morning practice.
Mm-hmm. Get it out of the way?
Yeah, get it out of the way. And then granted, a lot of people think that we just practice all day long. The people that come to training camp and things like that, and the people that are really invested in the game and the Patriots and things like that and what we do, they know that we're only out there for about 3 hours, but the day starts at 7:30 and ends at about 8:30 or 9. So we're it's a long day. But I prefer the morning practices myself.
Now, when you're off the field, if let's say it's a morning practice and you're off the field, probably shortly after noon, I'm guessing, what is the rest of the situation like for you? How much, I know obviously you're getting work done, how much film work? You mentioned time in the weight room. What does the rest of the afternoon look like?
You'll have the rest of the afternoon. You'll have it filled with special teams meetings. I wasn't heavily involved in the special teams meetings, even though I did do some special teams. I kind of knew the returns and things, so I didn't really have to always go to those. So for me, that gave me, sometimes an hour and a half break. I go take a nap. I would, go get something worked on if I needed to get worked on, or something, done before practice, whether it was taped or whatever. And I just kind of, again, go through, by that time we've practiced and everything. By that time we had the practice film loaded onto the iPads at that point. So I can go look at some of the things in practice and see what, see what I'm gonna get cussed out about, see what I'm gonna get cussed out for before I even go in there, or, see if I had a pretty decent practice, and that's for me. But for other guys, you go in there, they have about 20-30 minutes to go get a shower, grab a quick lunch, and then they're back in the special teams room for special teams meeting, whether it's kickoff, kick return, whatever the special teams is. And they get that time. And again, and then after that, you usually go to individuals, which is when everyone split up to their individual coaches. And you have that for about an hour, and in between with Coach Ive, he was pretty laid back, Sometimes Maybe it's depending on your practice, maybe depending on his mood. I'm not 100% sure, but sometimes he might let you get the lunch and bring it into the meeting room and eat, or whatever the case may be. But and that's that's going into individual meetings. Then you obviously get another break for like dinner and stuff. And there's a specific carved out time for everyone to get their workout in. It's a specific carved out time. Look, and sometimes it's a offense lift today, defense lift tomorrow, or whatever. In which you will still get that break. If you're a defensive guy, this offensive lift day, you might still get that. You get that hour break or whatever to do, whatever you need to do, whether it's get in the sauna, hot tub, cold tub, whatever, things like that. And then after that goes on, you get, like I said, you get to your dinner, and then you got a couple more meetings, and they're not these. And this is in the back end of the day when you're going in the meeting room at 7 o'clock or 6:30 or whatever, and you got coffee at 6:30 at night, and you're in a meeting like this, struggling. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed every second of it, but at the time, it was the worst thing that I could have possibly been going through.
You guys all, I imagine, at some point in the evening come together. If Hard Knocks have taught us anything, there is some sort of team meeting. Is there a team meeting every night? What's that like? Is there a lot of film? I also know too, from talking to guys, that it can be a little light too, to try and kind of lighten the tension, because camp can be a bit of a grind.
Yeah. And we do. Yeah, you come together as a team. You watch the film as a team. Bill will go over, what he saw and what he thinks. This person done, this person done. He might throw a joke in here and there. Well, damn, if you're the best gunner in the league, why are you getting your ass kicked right here? We might rewind it 4 or 5 times, and everybody start laughing or whatever. Just lighten the mood. And if we had a bad day, I mean, you guys can obviously, you guys couldn't tell, but we knew, and that film, we take that seriously. I think we have maybe, I can't even count on my, I can't even recall how many film sessions you get, because every meeting you're going to watch film, whether it's for 10 minutes or whatever, you're going to watch film, unless it's install, which you're putting in a new player or something like that. You're gonna definitely watch a lot of film.
It seems to be, and look, Bill has told us stories about how he would go to training camp with the Baltimore Colts, and right after 4th of July, and it would run for 2 months, and 2-a-days and 100-degree heat. It's changed a little bit over the course of the last dozen years or so. When you look at camp now, do you lament it and say, oh, it wasn't like it was back in my day where we really worked hard? Or do you look at it and say, look, times have changed, guys evolve, things are different, the league is different?
Oh yeah, nah, I definitely look at times have evolved. The league is different, things are different. Luckily for me, I want to say I didn't get any 2-a-day camps. I'm not 100. I'm not, maybe one. But it was more of a walk through early and then practice later, like full pack. So it wasn't really quote unquote 2-a-days like the ones that you're talking about. Like go out there full pass, smack for 3 hours, come back in, eat, yada yada yada, go back out there again, smack for 3 hours again. Like it wasn't that kind of 2-a-day. But I'm pretty sure when I was with Fisher, maybe when I was even with Raheem for a little bit, we probably did like a walkthrough in the morning, then a practice at night. So that would count as like our 2 practices. And I mean, we always had a a little guy that came around the facility for the NFL or for the football, for the CBA or whatever. And he'd come by, and if he see anything even a little bit remotely more physical than what they had wanted, since they changed it to no 2-a-day banging, no 2 padded practices. I guess that's what it was before. It was 2 padded practices. They changed it to you can do 2-a-days, but you can one has to be a walkthrough. And if you're doing anything out there, if you're touching each other, you're bumping each other, or anything, they're gonna find the whole team and they'll take them all away. So guys was enjoying that at first.
When you remember your 3 different training camp experiences with 3 different teams, Tampa, Pittsburgh, New England, what is different about your time maybe in New England than the other two places, if at all? Was there anything that comes to mind off the top of your head where, hey, we did this way in New England, and this was way different than what we did in Pittsburgh or in Tampa Bay?
Man, to be 100% completely honest with you, New England's training camp is about as intense as it can be. Mm-hmm. You know, there is no BSing around. And again, Bill can't. I'm not saying that it's like it's probably more military style than most, but it's not so much to where he knows how to find the balance and the happy medium. You know, he can keep it lighthearted. He'll come in there, you know, like I said, he'll come in there, might shoot the ball, shoot the trash can ball, whatever, trash can ball with us. He might have us, hey guys, let's go outside and, you know, shoot free throws, like we've done things like that. He's taking us to the movies, you know, like things like that, you know, and I enjoy things. I enjoy that, you know, I respect Bill for that. And then, you know, we're in Pittsburgh, like I said, you go to St. Vincent, you're off by yourself, you're secluded. You're at this college, and you know it's go. You're in these dorm rooms, and it was definitely a 100% different experience. I enjoy the hotel more than I enjoy the dorm room. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. But I mean, to each their own. Both respectively, they are great ways to prepare for the season. But I like New England's a little bit better.
What about the idea of team bonding? Is that overblown? People say, oh, you know, you need camp to come together as a team and find out who you can depend on when, you know, things get tough. Is that, do we make too much of that, or is that a real thing?
Nah, that's definitely a real thing. I agree with that 100%. I think you do got to come to camp and see what you got. You know, I think you do. I mean, obviously we know, okay, we drafted this guy in the first, second, whatever. We know all these guys that we drafted can obviously play football. We know that. We know that much. But, you know, again, are you going to go into you're not going to go into the season and be like, okay, well, you know, I know this guy came from college and he can do these many things, but when it's 1 minute left and, you know, we don't got no timeouts and we're in no huddle offense and I throw it to him and he catches it on the 50-yard line, is he going to get up and do the first down? Mm-hmm. Or is he going to find the referee and get the ball, you know, to him? Or is he going to, you know, do the Chase Claypool, you know, this right here in the time run out, or you don't know, you know what I'm saying? But in training camp, you learn those things. You learn, okay, all right, 2 minutes, the twos go in, yada, 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 da, da, da. Oh, he caught the ball. Oh man, what are you doing? You throwing the ball back to the center, you doing this, that, and the other. You know, it's just little minor things like that you figure out in training camp. So I think you need it. I don't think that that's overblown at all. I think you definitely need to find out what you have in a player, because again, you can have the best player in the world, but when it comes to situational football, they might not be.
Tell me about Mount Belichick, the hill out beyond the practice field. I know that is a place where I've heard one player say it separates the men from the boys, you know, after practice, after a day like today. We're sitting here Friday, July 22nd. It's almost 100 degrees outside. Guys are going to be running up and down that hill next week. What is that experience like?
It sucks, man. I'm gonna tell you, it'll definitely make a man out of you, and it'll fold you. You know, I've seen some guys fold on that hill to where they couldn't finish the day of practice, and I can't believe that. I haven't been back in a while, but I can't believe that it's still there. Mm-hmm. Have you seen it before?
Yeah. Well, we saw it. We can see it from the media tent. We can kind of see
okay. Y'all can't really see how steep it is.
No, I mean, you can drive past it, you know, not on non-game days, and you can get a sense of it. But The first time I saw it was a few years back, maybe almost a decade or so ago. And you look at it and it doesn't look all that imposing. But then you consider, look, these guys have been out here banging heads for 2.5 hours in 90-degree temperatures. Kind of changes things a little bit. Yeah, it changes things a little bit.
It does. But now it lets you know. I mean, most of the time when New England plays, win, lose, or draw, whether they're blowing someone out or they're losing by a lot or whatever, they're gonna always be probably the most conditioned team on the field. Mm-hmm. Like you're not gonna hardly ever see them like gasping for air. Like, I mean, granted, all the big guys, I don't care what team you're on. If you're 300 pounds, that's just normal. You're just not going to be able to do it what the 210 and you know what I'm saying? But they might be able to stay in the game for 4 more plays, you know, versus the guys that aren't going to be able to come in there and play and finish, you know, they might have to come out immediately. So, you know, that hill plays a huge factor in it because, you know, they treat it like the game first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. And, you know, even though you don't go in this many overtimes ever in any season, it's always overtime, you know, so it's always overtime. Like Bill, bro, we didn't have one overtime game. We only had one overtime game since I was here. Like, we don't need, but that's you know, again, that's a part of his regimen. You know, that's what he does, and he's not going to sway away from that. And that's a part of who he is, and a part of why he is so successful because he does stick to a lot of those old school rules of football, or old school ways of preparing for football, and I like that.
That reminded me of the first time I thought, not the first time, but one of the times that I thought about the hill and the impact of the hill the most was Super Bowl 51. When you guys were able to mount that comeback against the Falcons and you guys were just clicking on all cylinders, third, fourth quarter overtime, when a team like Atlanta, and look, I'm picking on Atlanta here, but it could be any one of the other teams in the National Football League,
right,
folds like that late in the game, going up against New England, the hill, it's not, you know, it's not the only reason, but it's not coincidental. I'll put it that way.
Right. It's definitely not coincidental. Again, man, you know, he instilled those principles in you. Mm-hmm. So, you know, okay, yeah, overtime, we know you're tired. We know it hurts. We know, you know what I'm saying? We know that you feel like you're dying right now, but who's going to stop? Who's going to keep going? Who's going to continue to give me everything they got left in the tank, no matter the circumstances? And that's his approach to that. I mean, that's my approach to it. And I feel like that's how he's going to always look at it is, you know, who's going to quit on me? Who's going, you know, because again, Bill old school, you know, he watched football from a young age at an extremely high level. And he don't know anything else. But I mean, he does. He knows that times evolve. He knows that you can travel and all that good stuff, but he sticks with his roots and he doesn't, you know, he stays true to himself. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes him, I think, again, that's what makes him really, really successful.
All right, give me your favorite training camp story, either involving you or a teammate or whatever the case may be. You talked to me a little bit before about, and this wasn't a training camp story, but when you came back to New England from Pittsburgh, you were a little bit overweight, and Bill gave you an offensive lineman number.
Yes.
Do you have a similar story about training camp where something weird happened, something funny happened, something strange happened that you want to share?
Oh, I mean, I'm gonna just say this. I've had that coming back overweight issue in training camp also. Mm-hmm. So that I can see why Bill was already fed up with it when I came back the same weight. Mm-hmm. So I can see why he was already he was trying to be funny with it. But you know, man, I mean, this isn't a training camp story. But this is a story this was before the season started. And what is it? OTAs, off-season workouts, whatever it is. I had just came back from the hip injury. So I'm working out and it's the off-season. It's me, it's AD, you know, Aaron Dobson.
Yep.
It's Julian, it's Deion Lewis, Deron Harmon. I don't know who the last person was. It might have been Logan Ryan. I'm not sure, but we're working out, and I'm just coming off the hip injury, and I know, you know, my hip started like once we were running, we're doing the last little part of the workout with H, and my hip started bothering me a little bit. I'm like, and H was like, nah, you got 5 more. I'm like, man, bro, we done already did 12. You told us we had 12, bro. Hey, bro, I don't know if my hip can handle 17, like. Bro, we did 12, bro. I gave you, that's all I had, bro. I really had to fight to give you that 12. Like, mm-hmm. I really had to fight hard, like, to give you that 12. Like, my hip hurting. And Joe was like, man, shut the F up and just do it. And that, obviously, we're hot. We're outside. Grown man. I'm tired. My hip hurt. And I jump in his face and I'm like, bro, who the F you think you're talking to, bro? I'm a grown man, bro. You don't talk to me like that. Da, 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 da. And he goes, oh man, listen, bro, listen. I don't want us to get into it. I know about Boise State. I know about Boise State. We don't got to take it there, but that's my dude, you know what I'm saying? Obviously, me and Jules will never like come to throw hands, but you know, in the heat of the moment, you know, we kind of got heated because you know, I feel like he was trying to tell me, hey, bro, just shut up and just do it. No matter what they say, it's the coach, you know. And granted, you're right. You know, you learn that from a young age. Whatever the coach says, you do it. But I was coming off that hip injury. I was tired. My hip was hurting, and it all just kind of boiled over, man. But we got in the locker room. We dapped it up. You know, you my dog, right? He was like, yeah, bro, I ain't worried about you. You know what I'm saying? Don't Boise State me. You know, so, you know, he said that he got on, he kept going with that joke for about 2 or 3 days. And that's, you know, that's one of the funny stories I had, you know, over there.
For me, it was interesting because over the years you could pretty much point to every single summer where Julian Edelman would kind of get a little heated with someone. I remember a couple years ago it was Gilmore. You know, before that there were 2 or 3 other instances where he would kind of you could see him poking at guys out there.
Yeah.
You could see him getting in guys' face, and guys like you said, look, it's 90 degrees, it's hot. We've been out here. I'm a grown man. I don't want to hear any of that.
Right, bro. Let's just work.
Yep.
That's my guy, though. I love Jules to death, though. That's my dude. To this day, that's still my main man.
He's doing very well in retirement. I'll put it that way. There's a lot of talk he's coming back.
If he come back, I'm gonna come back.
Well, I want to shift gears here before we wrap up. We got about another 10 minutes or so, but I want to ask you if there are guys out there, if you take a look at the Patriots roster now, again, going into training camp, there are 3 guys for me who need to have a good summer. And we can define good summer by any reason. Basically, you want to show some urgency. You know, these guys have an opportunity to come in and produce, whether it's through personnel losses, whether it's through their own overall career arc, whether it's just, you know, good timing for them.
Right.
I have 3 names for you, and I want to bounce them off you. And if you have other names you want to add to this list, guys who need to have a good summer, guys who need to have a good training camp: Isaiah Wynn, Jonnu Smith, and Malcolm Butler. I say Isaiah Wynn because this feels like he needs to continue to be trending in the right direction. They need a little bit more stability at the tackle spot, someone opposite Trent Brown, someone that they like. I think Isaiah Wynn is going to continue to have that opportunity. He's going to need to kind of solidify his position on the roster there with a good summer. Jonnu Smith, obviously, the numbers last year weren't where they wanted them to be, weren't with the Patriots specifically. And I think a big off season for him and a big season would go a long way toward helping out Mac Jones. Malcolm Butler, obviously returning to New England, he's going to have a real opportunity here to be the number 1 cornerback, and whether or not he can step up and kind of reassume that role. I don't know if he can do that anymore. What do you think of that list? And if you guys have, or if you have any other guys on that list that you want to include?
So one guy that I do agree with is Jonnu Smith. I'm with you on that one because I agree with you. He does have to come along and bring more to the table than what he did last year to help out Mac. And granted, Mac is going to be Mac, because I think he's a good quarterback. I think he still played well without Jonnu, you know, bringing out, you know, coming out and doing the numbers that we all expect him to do. Hunter Henry started coming on later towards the season. I liked him. That was a good add-on. But yeah, I'm with you on that. I think Jonnu has to take a step forward and become the tight end that Bill thought he was going to be for the team this year. Also, Malcolm, I do think that he can still be a lockdown corner. I think that if he had any chance of being just a follow guy left and right, I think this is the place for him to be. Other than anywhere else, I think this is the place for him to be, is New England. If you want a guy that's going to be able to follow, I think he still can do it, because I don't think that he's had that much mileage on his body since. I know he's gotten hurt a couple times, so I know that he don't have that much mileage on his body. And the third person for me, I'm going to say, is Damian Harris. He's going into the season as the lead running back. Everybody's going to expect the big year from him. He had over 800 and something yards last year, and I want to say 12 touchdowns or 10 touchdowns. He played well. If he can continue on that, track, and, give them 1,000-yard rusher, or give them a 1,100-yard rusher, 12, 13 touchdowns, or whatever it is. That'll take another load off of Mac Jones. If he can go out there and prove that he can just be that guy, I mean, obviously, he's gonna have help with Ramondre and James, but if he can go out there and just say that he can be that guy, and tote the pill enough, and be able to make the offense as balanced as possible, so Mac don't have to go through it 30 times or whatever, then I say that'd be a huge step for him as well.
Great. This is perfect, man. I want to ask you one more quick question before we wrap things up. If you could give, I want to kind of circle back around to training camp. If you could give the guys who are going through their first New England training camp one piece of advice, what would you tell them?
One piece?
One piece. If you're sitting down with Cole Strange, first round pick, you got to say, look, Cole, here's the one piece of advice that I'm giving you. If you want to survive New England training camp, here's what I'm going to tell you.
Don't take anything personal. Don't take anything personal. Bill is going to attack. Mm-hmm. He is going to come at you. You don't take anything personal. You take it, you learn from it, you keep striding. Don't take anything personal, because that's a place where you can really, it'll be very easy to take things personal there. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's, hey man, now you're number 3 on the depth chart instead of number 2, you know what I'm saying? And New England, everything is really tense when you first get. I wasn't even a rookie. That was my 3rd year. It was my 4th year in the league or whatever it was. And it was still like tense like that for me. And I had never been to New England. I had, never been a fan or anything. And I was just like, bro, I hope I don't mess up, bro. So just relax and don't take anything personal. I think you'll be good, man.
LG, this has been great. As always, look forward to talking again next week, my friend. Take care, and we'll talk soon.